All right. I believe we are rolling. I believe we are rolling. I'm looking at myself in the other monitor and it's a little bit delayed. So I better not look at myself in the other monitor. Otherwise, I'm going to get cuckoo here. All right. Patrick Rooney from oldschoolus.com. We're doing a live stream tonight on freedom. And Old School is all about natural health, success, and freedom. And tonight is really all about freedom. And that's what we're here for. Let me know if you are hearing me. I'm doing something a little bit different today. I'm doing a lot of things different tonight. No guest and no script. Not even cue cards, really. I did do I blogged on this today a little bit, but I don't really have anything. I wanted to kind of see what it was like. I wanted to feel what it was like to just do regular live stream. Just jump off the diving board and see what happens. Hopefully there's water underneath me and not just concrete. But anyway, let me know if you are hearing me okay. Another thing I'm doing differently, you don't see my headset. I took my headset off. I took my microphone out. Normally, if I'm podcasting, I will have my headset so I can hear well, and I have a microphone so I can, so the podcast can go through okay. And a little bit with noises and things like that outside the studio. It's one reason I typically use a microphone for my interviews. But I just thought I would do something a little different. Hey, Saturday night, what the heck, right? Got to live once in a while. Got to live life once in a while. Anyway, Mind Over Energy hears me well. Hello, Mind Over Energy. Good to see you there. And we will see who else hears me well. But in any case, I want to talk about freedom tonight, and not just freedom, because that's one of the main things that we deal with, but I want to talk about, is it possible to change your mind about things? Obviously it is, but a lot of times we don't want to necessarily have our mind change, or, we get stuck in a particular, I'm on the right, so I have to feel this way. People on the left, they have to have these ideas, and they can't really cross very much. I think that's one nice thing that I admire about President Trump, is that he's not really ideological like that. I mean, that can be bad in a way that maybe you can say, well, you don't have firm ideas of what you want and everything. But on the other hand, I think it can show that you're going to look at each situation and make a determination. What I realized, yeah, I understand Mind Over Energy. I understand you're just checking in. So check in as you wish, and come in and out as you wish. We will be here. This will be taped as well. So we'll have that on as well. But one of the things I wanted to say is that we need to be willing to, as I say, have our minds changed about things and look at things. And what I realized this week is I got a wake-up call this week. I realize I don't know jack about foreign policy. And I'm not here as a foreign policy expert, by the way. I'm here as an American citizen. I'm the founder of Old School, and freedom is one of our big things. I'm not an intellectual, I don't think, as far as I'm not going to give you every single detail on what's going on in the Ukraine right now. I'm looking at this as a regular person, probably the same way you are, and realizing my ignorance. And I say that as I'm an American. I know generally pretty good what's going on in America. I keep my ear to what's going on in my country. But I guess Americans are kind of known for this, for not really knowing what's going on outside of ourselves. We kind of have a certain arrogance, I think, as Americans, that we don't really need to know what's going on in the world. But when your country is on the verge of, hey, a potential shooting war, I mean, God forbid, with Russia, it's all of a sudden we need to wake up and say, wait a minute, we need to know what's going on here. Why are we this close to being in a war with Russia? We don't know anything about, for instance, about the Ukraine. I mean, the average American doesn't know squat about the Ukraine. I've just been starting to educate myself this week, and I learned a lot. I had heard before that Ukraine was a very corrupt country. But what it appears is that their government, or at least parts of the government, are very corrupt. I don't know how much that is changing. Anybody from from the Ukraine or knows the situation, feel free to chime in and let me know. But and people will say, well, we shouldn't have any involvement in the Ukraine because they're corrupt. Their government is corrupt. Well, by the same token, I would say that our government is corrupt. The United States government, as it currently stands, is very corrupt. It's a swamp, as we have heard and we know. And so, does that mean that that America should never be helped out because we have a corrupt government? I think we need to see the difference between a government, the corruption of a government, and the people. And what I'm starting to notice is that the people of Ukraine, as I started to look into this, I noticed, wow, the people of Ukraine have wanted freedom. They have wanted independence for a very long time. I looked and saw some of the history where they had an independence movement. They had an election many years back. You may or may not remember this, but they had a candidate who was running, very popular man, running for office, and he apparently was poisoned by Russia, and his whole face changed. His whole face, he was like a handsome, regular-looking dude, and all of a sudden he looked like it deformed. He was like rare. It looked like dried earth. His face. And there was an election, and this man apparently did not. He was winning in the polls. He was very, very popular, way ahead. Come time for the election, and he loses the election. Sound familiar to anybody in America? So this man loses the election. The people in Ukraine are up in arms. And what they do is they go in, not like what we did. We had an election that was, well, how much can I say on this platform, right? And remain on this platform. Let's just say, okay, we had an election that was very iffy, okay? And what happened? Well, it basically was allowed to stand because people didn't do too much about it. There were some court cases and things like that, but they never really went too far. And people didn't demand more. But in contrast, the Ukrainian people did demand more of their. So when this man lost the election and they knew that he had won the election, there were like 1 million people go out into the street and said, no, you're not going to get away with this. You are not going to get away with this. We will not stand for it. When the people rise up, they cannot be beaten. As much as we are being held down by the elite few at this point, when we stand up as a people, we cannot be defeated. And that's what happened to the Ukrainians. They went out in the streets and said, no, we're not going to do this. They demanded another election, and they got another election, and their candidate won the election. So that's an amazing thing. That's well beyond what's ever happened in America, at least for the last 200 years. So my hat's off to the Ukrainian people. So when I see what's going on here, and I see, what another thing that my mind has been changed about. I talked about conservatives and liberals and different things and how people see different people. I had seen Vladimir Putin, Russia's leader. I had seen him as a strong leader, loved his country, things like that. I really didn't pay attention to a lot of the things that he had done to squelch freedom over the years. I just haven't paid a lot of attention to what he has been doing. And I thought to some degree the media had overplayed the fact of what a bad guy he is. And I'm sure they have overplayed that. And I understand that they have tried to link Donald Trump up with Vladimir Putin. And that is, in order to, make Trump look bad. When actually Trump was the toughest guy, much tougher on Putin than Obama or Biden were. So I understand all the things that are going on there with that. But yet, when I'm looking at Putin now and I'm looking at the Ukrainian people, and I see that they want freedom, they are willing to die for freedom. Their president, Zelensky, is willing to, he's putting his life on the line. I saw in the news today that the U.S. Offered to give him a ride, basically. They said, hey, we'll allow you we want to get you out of your country so you can be safe and all that. It sounds like a really nice thing, right? But Zelensky said, no, I'm not going anywhere. I don't want to ride. I want to be in my country. This is my country, and I'm going to stand and fight for it. And that's what he's doing right now. Right now, it is a little after 8 o'clock Central Time here, and it's about 4 in the morning. It's like 4:12 in the morning in the Ukraine. This is the third night of Russia just doing all they can to try to decapitate the leadership of the Ukraine. It's the third night of this. This is a very key night for them. I don't know if we're going to see any breaking news or anything like that. I mean, we're only going to be on for a little bit tonight, but keep your eyes open because you could, it's very possible something can happen. But in the meantime, the President Zelensky is standing with his people. The main cabinet people are there. Zelensky has offered a rifle, to any able-bodied man who's willing to fight for his country. And I know a lot of the Ukrainians have left the country. I mean, there's always, in every battle, there's always some people who hightail it out and some people who are willing to stick with it. Now, I understand women and children, elderly, people like that, you're trying to get them in a position where they're safe. But and I don't know what the percentage is, but it seems to be a pretty big percentage of able-bodied Ukrainian men are standing and fighting for their country. And I think it's amazing. And I can't help but wonder, we hear again about Ukrainians being a corrupt country and things like that. But I can't help but wonder, how many Americans will fight or would fight for their country. In this country, we are under almost a dictatorship itself. We have horrible leadership. We have a puppet who's installed as the president, and we have people around him like Barack Obama who are, pulling the strings, and whoever else is doing that. I would say on top of Barack Obama, you've got Obama's daddy, right? Satan pulling the ultimate strings. And this is really what's going on in America. And this is going on all over the place. I'm not saying what we should necessarily do in Ukraine. I'm not saying that we should go in and put soldiers, American soldiers, and put them at risk. I do think at this moment, though, that I have looked at this and I think that we should do whatever we can to protect, to bolster the citizens of Ukraine in their fight. I think we owe anybody who is willing to put their life on the line for freedom. And I believe a lot of the Ukrainian people are willing to do that. I believe any of those people should be supported. Any person around the world should be, has a God-given right to freedom. Not just Americans, not just whatever, Western countries or whatever, every single person on earth. That's why I see Putin now, I'm saying, and again, I don't know the ins and outs of everything that's going on there. But it seems to me as an outsider that Putin wants to reconstitute the Soviet Union, the old Soviet Union, reconstitute the old Russia, whatever it is, he wants an empire, it appears to me. I understand that the West are not just angels. I'm not going to put the West as angels because the West are not angels. But that doesn't excuse, what Putin is doing. We have our own issues. And if anything, I think we need to wake up in America and see, we're heading right towards dictatorship itself. We have dictatorship next door to us in Canada. We have, can you believe that? I mean, Canada, right? I mean, we knew Canada was socialist, but we always knew Canada as like a nice country, right? Well, nice people and all this stuff. Maybe too nice, right? Maybe too nice. They allow a dictator to get in there. Justin Trudeau is obviously a tyrant dictator. So right on our borders right now, we have dictatorship. We have, and thank God for the convoy, the truckers convoy. Thank God for these people. I mean, somebody said to me, I think my friend Robert said to me, why did we have to wait in America? Why did the Canadian truckers, why did they have to be first? Shouldn't Americans lead in freedom? But Americans have gotten soft somehow. Yeah, Mark G has just said that the media keeps pushing the invasion. Well, yeah, I mean, they definitely are pushing these kind of things for a lot of different reasons. That's true as well, Mark. They're pushing that. They always do. The media doesn't want peace. They want people fighting each other, especially people like Americans fighting each other so they can take down this country. We have Canada. We have Canada right next to us as basically a dictatorship right now, and it's not being fought except for the people in the convoy. We have places like Australia. I mean, when I grew up, Australia was like, it was like the place people wanted to be. Man, if anything ever goes down in America, I want to go to Australia. I want to go to New Zealand because it's freedom over there, right? That's not the case. Mark G said truckers conflict, but Russian invasion. Oh, I see. The use of different words. Yeah, they use different words for things. I mean, the media uses words for things to get you to feel whatever they feel, to get you to think whatever they think. Words are very powerful. I do want to. I am concerned that freedom itself is being lost worldwide at this point. Freedom is being lost worldwide. It's being lost in America, and I can't even say on this platform. I can't say things about the election to be on this platform. I got to play by their rules. I can't say things about their on here, right? All these crazy things that people have had to do for. The only reason that they're letting off these crazy mandates right now is because they have an election coming up. They know that if they keep pushing the mandates right now before November, they're going to really tank. I think they're going to tank anyway in the next election, but they really think they're going to tank if they keep the mandates up. So we have a little window here. We might even have a little window here for a little bit of free speech on platforms like this. That's one reason I'm here today. It's one reason I'm using this platform. We might have a little window here. So hopefully we can talk about these things. So anyway, I just wanted to get the ball rolling and kind of talk about what's going on, how kind of like I'm seeing things a little bit differently. I'm kind of shocked that I really wasn't paying attention enough. And in the last week, I've really kind of had to bone up on stuff. I mean, I'm not sitting there all day long, like looking through books all day, but just to see what's going on, to check the news a little bit, or to check decent sources of the news, just check things a little bit to see what's going on. And we get a better picture of what's going on. So, I mean, I want to ask you, am I crazy here? Is there, A lot of people on the right side of things seem to really like Putin. I don't know, maybe because he sticks his finger in the eye of the socialists. Hey, I don't like these people either. I don't like these people either. But I don't think one of these guys has to be good and the other one has to be bad. It seems like to me they're both bad. We have socialist nanny state type people who are bad, and then we have people like Putin and Xi in China who are, more like people that want to take over vast amounts. They're kind of like the Napoleons of this day. Napoleons or Alexander the Great. They want empires. And seems to me that in America, we fought in empires. We fought the British Empire. The British Empire wanted to keep up. I mean, to me, they're doing the same as what Russia would do to Ukraine. And we're like, hey, no, we want freedom here. We want to be free. And we fought for our freedom. Unfortunately, I don't see the same kind of grit in today's Americans as in general, with exceptions, of course, is what we had with our founding fathers. That's a little bit concerning. So I think when we see Ukraine, when we see the people there being so fired up for freedom, and when we see their president saying, no, I'm not going to take a ride from the US here. I'm not going to take a ride out of here. I can easily take a ride out of here and save my skin. But what do you think that would do to the morale of my people if I was just to hightail it out of the Capitol here? Obviously, it would be bad. So these things are important, and the Ukrainian people, I think, and their leadership is inspiring people. I've even seen people in general situations. I've had talks with people in regular situations the last few days. People are paying attention to this kind of thing. People are so used to corrupt leaders like Putin and like Xi and Biden. I mean, Biden, very corrupt leader, right? They're so used to corrupt leaders who do not stand that they are kind of shocked when they see somebody who is standing up. And people, whatever, they don't have to be on the right or whatever, but people notice. People notice when someone stands up for right and is doing the right thing. I don't know, again, the ins and outs of this president, Zelensky. I'll tell you this, what he's doing now is heroic. His phone call with President Trump that they impeached President Trump for, I just saw the transcript. I never really bothered to look at that stuff before. I just saw the transcript of that several days ago. It was in the regular media. The regular media was trying to put a spin on it, saying how bad it was. The phone call was fine. Nothing wrong with it. But the media was scared because President Trump was asking President Zelensky, who had just come in and won his election, to look into the Bidens, to look into Hunter Biden and Joe Biden's connection with Ukraine. And that's what that phone call was all about. I got the sense that Zelensky, the new president, and again, I could be wrong. This is my sense as an outsider who doesn't know, not right in the middle of the situation. I got the sense when I saw the transcript that this man was honest, is honest, and that he wanted to do and wants to do, I think, what President Trump was trying to do, or and what President Trump was succeeding for the most part in doing in America. He wants to drain the swamp in the Ukraine. Again, we hear a lot about the corruption in Ukraine. I believe that this president, for what I can get of the transcript, wants to drain the swamp in his own country, and that is very heartening in this day and age. So I just want to encourage. We don't need to stay on a long time tonight. I don't need to make a big long speech. I probably talked plenty already, but I just wanted you to think about that tonight. Think about freedom, and think about what it takes to keep your freedom. It really, if we think, by the way, if President Trump was in, a lot of people have said, if President Trump was in office right now, then this would never have happened, right? This would never have happened. He would have kept Putin in his place. Putin would have never have done what he has done in Ukraine. I agree. I agree 100% with that. I think that President Trump was a very good president overall. In some ways, a great president, an unprecedented president. And yes, he would have kept a lot of things going. I have a couple issues with President Trump. And one of them is about these things, because he was behind getting these things out there so quickly. And they've been a disaster. They've been harming people, killing people. They've been a disaster. And yet, because he was pushing it and because he was the guy out front doing it, he's standing behind it and doubling down. I think that's a horrible mistake. And once this stuff kind of really spirals out of control, this whole business, and people really see, the deaths and the injuries start piling up, at some point they're going to spin all this stuff back on him. And they're going to say, "Oh, he rushed it. See, it's his fault. He rushed all this. He rushed all this stuff," and he could be left holding the bag there. So I think that's a problem. I think it's a big problem that he is continuing to double down on this stuff. The other thing that I'm really disappointed about is that we have American citizens in jail for people that came and stood up for this president, stood for him. He asked them to come to DC. They came to DC. They supported him. And many of them are still rotting in jail to this day. That is wrong. And President Trump could have easily had press conferences. Why not do a press conference every day that these people are unjustly left in jail? So I don't get that. I don't understand that. They were there for him and for America. And I believe he abandoned these people. So I was talking to a friend today. If President Trump becomes the nominee, I'm 100% going to back him, because what choice do I have? And I admire him a lot. I admire a lot of things he did for America. And I would certainly back him. On the other hand, I'm not that big on him in comparison to whoever else may be coming up. We'll have to see who's going to go against him. We have to even see at this point, we're talking about a long ways off anyway. We haven't even gotten to the midterm elections yet. And so that's way down the road anyway. And we're talking right now about stuff that could lead to World War III. Even Trump today said that what's happening in Ukraine could lead to World War III. Mark agrees with me that Trump needs to speak up on that. Yeah, the truth is the truth, man. We got to be about the truth. We're supposed to be conservatives, right? I am. I'm not, maybe some of you are not. I don't care who's listening, what your beliefs are. But at least for me, conservatives, I'm conservative, not always have been. I was a liberal, long story on that, but my heart changed, my mind changed a long time ago, and I became a conservative. But we need to be of the truth. We need to be truthful people. We need to stand on truth. And I wish the President Trump would do that on these issues here, And they're very important. Like I said, you could have, it's the old analogy of the pail of water, right? You could have a pail of water with pure water in it. But you can take a little bit of dirt and drop it in there, and it darkens the whole pail of water. So issues that are this huge are big issues. They're not like being wrong on a couple of minor issues. This stuff is huge, and people being in jail for last year, outrageously treated, beaten, kept in there without charges for the longest time. Just insanity, evil, not insanity, just pure evil. And that we need to stand up to that. So anyway, I think that's all I want to say tonight about this. And maybe the only thing I haven't really put in that I want to put in is this. There is no freedom without God, okay? There's no freedom We can't look up to any. I mean, Trump was great as president, most things, and he would do great in this situation, I believe. But we still, even with Trump in office, we still lost a lot of freedoms along the way. We don't have freedom in our money supply. We have no money. Our money, even the money that we have right now, the actual money is paper, which stands for nothing. Not backed by gold at all, stands for nothing. But even that has some privacy attached to it. As I talked a few nights ago with my friend Robert, they're moving us to electronic currency, digits, stuff that you can put in a bank account. Somebody can just flip that off in a moment, and your money's gone. It's not substantial. It's not real. It's just some digits in a computer, and they can just turn it off on you, like they're doing on Putin right now, right? They're shutting down certain banking privileges and so forth. Well, what do you think happened to the freedom truckers in Canada? Those people who were involved, right? And people that supported those people, they shut their bank accounts down. They froze their accounts. So we have things like that are happening in this world. This stuff happened under Trump too. And Trump didn't talk about it. I don't hear anybody on the radio talking about this. I don't hear Hannity talking about this. I don't hear anybody talking about these particular issues. There are issues now that are taking our freedoms away, even under Trump, even under whoever. We have the best governor in the United States in Florida right now. As far as I know, Ron DeSantis. But even DeSantis is not going to do anything serious to challenge these people, right? And their deaths and injuries. And he's not going to stand ahead of the line in front of the train and take things on. When he sees that the people are for something, yeah, he'll be with it. I'm not knocking him. He's a great man, great guy, great man, love his family. I'm just saying he's still a politician. We don't understand that we have the power. We, as Americans, or any country, especially in America, we're supposed to have the Constitution, the Declaration, all these things. You know, God gave us this country. We're supposed to have all this great stuff. But we don't act like it. We need to be of the truth, and the politicians, we need to lead the politicians. We need to lead the politicians where they're going to go. We can't follow the politicians. We need to lead them. And if we don't have God, we don't have morality in our lives, we don't have a compass inside of us that tells us where to go, we're toast. We are toast. I don't care if Trump comes back. I don't care if who comes back. Okay? We're going to need, it looks like we're going to need Jesus Christ coming down here. Because short of that, I haven't seen any human being, and certainly no political leader, who's going to make the kind of change that we need in America and across the world. We need to change the hearts and minds of human beings. Because we can be led around so easily. We can be led around so easily. But if we had true freedom, if we had true compass inside ourselves, we could not be led around by any evil people. All right. Mind over energy. Yeah, you end up watching the whole thing. All right. I think I'm winding down. If you guys have any other comments, let me know. If something I missed on this subject, let me know. I just want people to be aware of, I want to stand with these people. When I was going to do this live stream today, I'm like, there's times in the past I might have canceled the live stream because it was late. I barely keep my eyes open or whatever. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do this live stream. So, but tonight I'm like, no, I'm not going to cancel this live stream. If Ukrainians could stand in the street and fight Russian soldiers with guns provided to them from their president and other Molotov cocktails and other means, and they can stand, and their president has a chance to get out of the country and stays in the country. You can criticize Ukrainians all you want, or you can be pro-Putin all you want. But those actions speak volumes. It's like people used to criticize Dr. King, let's say. Okay, Dr. King. So, Dr. King, Martin Luther King was immoral in different ways. Yeah, he was, but he was willing to stand up and stand for things to the point of his life. I mean, his life. He gave his life for truth. As a man who was not a perfect man, he had his issues. So did Malcolm X. Malcolm X had issues. He had a lot of issues with white folks, at least for a while, till he went to Mecca. Then I think he realized at that point, hey, this is not like a black versus white thing. This is like a decency versus indecency thing. You know that Malcolm X stood up against Elijah Muhammad, the so-called Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when he found out that Elijah Muhammad was impregnating women at his church. He was impregnating women and then sending them away. And then Malcolm X found some of these women at like a house. They kept these women away. And he knew that when he came out and put that out there, he was signing his own death warrant, because people like Louis Farrakhan said that he was marked for death after that. He essentially said, this man's marked for death. He encouraged, I'm surprised nothing ever happened that Louis Farrakhan never went to jail or anything. He got away with it. But Malcolm X stood for something. We're no different. We are flawed human beings, but we are hopefully doing our best to get right with God and stand for something. And if you don't stand for something in this world, you're going to get, obviously, you stand for something, you'll stand for anything. We are in a world now that needs heroes. It needs people to stand up and stand for something, be for something. I don't believe that is possible without connecting to God. I've talked about in my blog posts on oldschoolus.com. I've talked in some of my posts about that. You could look up, I believe you could look them up by, you can do searches on prayer, meditation. But I swear by these things, because I don't think I'd be standing here today, or I'm not standing, I'm sitting here. I wouldn't be sitting here today if it wasn't for prayer and meditation and just the power of God in order to kind of pull me along and give me strength to do some of the things that I've had to do. And thank God for that. If you need to reach me, you can go to info@oldschoolus.com. You can write me there, info@oldschoolus.com. I'm not going to make a plea for support tonight or anything like that, because I'd like to see support right now for the people of the Ukraine, people that are standing for their freedom and their president, and support them whatever way that seems. I don't have any special links at this point or anything like that, but find a way to support these people. And again, I'm not saying if you live in America, you should be over there and fighting their battle for them. They're going to have to fight their own battle one way or another. But I will say this, Europe, Ukraine wants to join NATO, right? Well, where is Europe? How come nobody in Europe seems to be fighting, going and helping them fight their battle? Nobody is standing with these people. They don't have anybody but their own people there, as far as I know, standing and actually fighting with them. And if they're going to be in NATO and they're offering something to NATO, are some people in Europe supposed to be fighting? I don't know. Hopefully America is doing whatever America can do. I've heard that the sanctions that Biden put on are pretty weak. They may be getting stronger now. I knew they just kicked Russia out of a particular banking system that they use there, and things like that. So maybe they're starting to do some stuff, but so far Biden has been an absolute disaster. We have to have Biden in office, or some other person, Biden or somebody. It looks like we're going to have an office for another 3 years. So God help us. I mean, God help the people of Ukraine, but God help people all over the world, freedom-loving people all over the world. But God help Americans right now. And God help Israel right now. Because when America is weak, Israel is vulnerable. And I'm telling you, Russia, has designs. They have a lot of designs for what they're doing over there. China is allying itself with Russia now, stronger than ever. China is very likely going to make a move on Taiwan very soon. Why wouldn't they? They see the weakness in which Biden has dealt with the Russian situation against Ukraine. It is imminent, I believe, unfortunately. So we need to pray for these people. We need to pray for ourselves, and pray for our countries, and pray for freedom, and stand on freedom. We need to expand, or at least hold the ground of freedom that we have, because we are an island. Freedom is like an island that is getting smaller and smaller. But with faith, if we stand on this with God behind us, we can take on the world. And I'm not afraid of anything with God behind me. So I think Wayne asked me, what do I mean by support? That's a good thing. I think that we can support, thank you, Wayne, for coming in. I think we can support them. There's going to need at least humanitarian support. Whatever arms these people can get. I'm not saying we're going to send arms through the mail over to them. I ain't saying that. I'm just saying that whatever we can convince America or European people to send to Ukraine, I think they should, arms-wise. And hopefully they can get some people, some military support of some kind, but I don't think it's coming from Europe. Your other question, Wayne, was screw NATO. I don't know much about NATO, but I don't trust NATO too much either. Again, because I'm criticizing Putin here does not mean I'm pro-NATO. I believe in God. I believe in the sovereignty of nations. I think things like NATO tend to mess with the sovereignty of nations. Obviously, the UN does and things like that. I'm sure that Putin has a certain distrust of the West and the corruption of the West as well. So there's a lot of corruption to go around here. I think they're both at fault. I think the world as itself is sick. The human beings that run the world, most of them are bad people. There's very few. I think that Ukraine's president is a good man. From what I can tell, he could be fooling me, but I think he's a good man. And I think there's a few. I think Trump did a lot of good things, as I said earlier, for America. Not all. But most of these people are power hungry, lunatics, evil, and they're of their father, the devil, most of them. Almost all these leaders are. And they're installed for that purpose. That's another thing I want to say. Maybe it's one of the last things I say. Besides, this is not as important as believing and standing with God, but this is something that has to be said. I realized over the last week that politics are very important. You notice the people that come over from Cuba that are for freedom, they took a little dinghy raft, rubber boat or something, or whatever it was, some of these people, and got here from Cuba. That's 90 miles of shark-infested waters, okay? They got here from Cuba. And what did they do when they got here? They pretty much kissed the ground when they got here to Miami. And these people, a lot of them are very active politically. And some of us have been kind of like, oh, politics, not that important. Well, yes, culture is more important than politics. We get that. Thank you, Andrew Breitbart. And we get that. But politics are very important because it's a way that you establish power, you establish control. And if decent people keep moving back from politics, it only leaves evil people to get involved. It doesn't take too many bad apples. You can see how they do that. Satan puts people in at the top, and they control vast numbers of people with just a few. You can see what the elite are doing to us in business. You can see what the political elite are doing to us now. There's not that many of them, but they control vast amounts of people. So politics are very important. And yes, if we were more aware, we would not be able to be controlled by a few different people. Come on, people, watch Bug's Life, okay? It's all in Bug's Life. Watch the cartoon Bug's Life. It's all there. The grasshoppers against the ants. All right, Mike. Hey, good to see you, Mike Jones. Man, I admire what you do. Thank you so much. I think I'm going to sign. I said I was going to sign out probably 25 minutes ago, but I got on a little bit of a roll here and couldn't stop myself. So thank you guys for being with me. Pray for the people of Ukraine, the president of Ukraine, that he has wisdom and keeps the wisdom about himself to know what to do. So far, I think from what I can tell, I think he's doing a great job. Pray for our leadership. I mean, my God, they would have to have an exorcism, I think, some of our leadership. You have to almost get the puppet, the God puppet, and put it in their backs or something. But pray for America. Pray for the world. Pray for the people who love freedom. And even pray for our enemies, because we cannot hate our enemies. We have to see clearly what to do, and we can't be hating these people. Judgment is God's. That's for him. We can see what they're doing, but don't hate these people. And those who are going to see the message are going to see it. Stay within yourself, pray, meditate, and find your inner compass, because that's what's going to save you. Find the inner compass and find that connection you have to the Almighty, and you'll be fine in this whole situation. You'll be like the Israelites who were passed over in the Passover. They were passed over when the Egyptian, I think it was the firstborn, were killed. Remember the Passover, where those who had the blood on the door, I'm not a Bible scholar, but those who had the blood on the door were passed over. And there's kind of a spiritual Passover that I believe. I know we're going to have to face a lot of things, but I also know that God will give us the wisdom to fight what we need to do and do the right thing. So God bless you guys. Feel free again, if you have any comments, go to info@oldschoolus.com. Go to my website, oldschoolus.com. Find a way to support people in the Ukraine, those people that are fighting for freedom, whatever that may be. And again, thank you for being with me tonight. And that's it. I look forward to seeing you again. Let me know if I should be doing more of these things. I like doing these live things. They're kind of like diving off the diving board and see what happens. But I think that's kind of a fun thing. Maybe I'm just crazy. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for being with me tonight. And